Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Drawing and Talking with me, your host, Freebie And today we'll be talking about another RPR character, Jessica Miller. Now, before we continue, please subscribe to my channel for more content like this. So, according to the request, she's a rich girl with long blonde hair who usually wears a red blouse with blue jeans and ankle boots. She also has a jacket with studs on her shoulder, and sometimes she has earrings. Now, most importantly to her character, she also has a dual disc that looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. Now, for those of you who don't know what a dual disc is, it's essentially a machine that you put in your arm that holds a deck of cards, which then allow you to take those cards out of said deck and play them on the disc. And then it displays a holographic version of those cards in front of you to fight other people who also have dual discs. That's the basic premise. It came from a anime slash manga slash I don't actually know what it began as. I'm pretty sure it started as a manga and turned into something else wildly different, like a glorified ad for toys, but that's not the point. The point is, it's a children's card game. So this Jessica character is described as a rich girl. Now, generally speaking, at least in the anime genre, rich girls can come in two different flavors. Number one, terrible, terrible, terrible people. Just cold, I don't want to use the B word, but they are really, really bad people. The second type are those who don't want to be rich, or at least want to be normal girls and want to live a good, nice life. And judging by the history within the character profile, I think I got it nailed on the second one. Now, without actually reading up on her actual roleplay posts, I don't know how good of a dueler she actually is, or what her deck involves. Now, once again, if we're going by stereotypical Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime rules, she's probably got a deck about money, or being honest to herself, or being really rough. Something perhaps the opposite of how she appears, so it could be something really big and bulky and strong and stuff like that. It could be based completely on brute strength, or it could be based on resources to reflect her past as a rich girl. I don't actually know. Or it could just have cards which are really expensive, the best that money can buy. Or the deck could just have cards that the player themselves want to use, or the deck they do currently have and own. I don't actually know, there's not enough information about said deck itself, it just talks about the character. Now, luckily for us, the motif of her dual disc could actually tell us what kind of deck she has. From what we can tell, it's a futuristic piece of tech. It's purplish, it's orangish, it could involve space soldiers or some sort of super armored hero of some sort, any one of those things. These are just wild guesses. For all I know, she could just have a bunch of elves or something. Like I said, I don't actually know what's in her deck at all. Moving on, how would I use her in a D&D style game or a tabletop game? Well, as a player character, pretty generic backstory, rich kid, didn't want to be rich or at least wanted a normal life. Moved on from being rich, or at least wanted to be more independent, all that stuff. Very straightforward. If someone came up to me and showed me a character with this backstory, I'd say, yeah, you're in, that looks good to me, let's do this thing. As an NPC, I don't really see her as a main character, or at least not a main character in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Style setting. As far as I can tell, every single rich girl character in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Type setting has either been an antagonist or an ally. Usually an antagonist before becoming an ally, as these sort of shonen type animes do. And unfortunately, she has no magical background of any sort, so it's impossible that she'll be the final boss or anything like that. To summarize, brief antagonist followed by being a friend of the good guys. Now that we have the tabletop portion of this talk out of the way, how would I put her into a LARP? Well, here's the thing, she's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling type character, which begs the question, is there a Yu-Gi-Oh! Type LARP out there? And I'd say probably. I've never been to one myself, I've never seen anything like it, but I assume it'd just be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament with more theatrics and holograms. Perhaps not literal holograms, it could just be a big projector with cameras pointing at the action. If we wanted to make it more LARP-like and involve like actual magic from the show and stuff like that, the theatrics could be pumped up to 11 with the actual stage slowly sinking as people lose their life points. We'd have the life effects, sound effects. We'd have people posing and yelling out the attacks, all that good stuff. Oh, and of course we'd have certain rules that allow people to play certain cards at certain times or use certain special effects. that reflect their magic powers. So maybe someone could have a power that lets them hypnotize their enemy to show them their hand, like once a game or something like that. And then you'd have the main character who has Heart of the Cards, which would let them look through their deck and pick out any one card they want. It's kind of, cheating in a normal Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, but in a LARP setting, whatever goes. Would I play in a LARP game like this? And I'd say yes. In fact, I have my own Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's not very good these days, but my gosh, back when I was high school, I kicked so much ass. I played every one, won just about every game. I was really good with it. I was really proud of this deck. If anybody knows Blue Eyes White Dragon, you'd know in the anime it kicks ass, but in real life it's a terrible, terrible card. But I managed to make it work somehow. I don't know how. I don't know why I did it. I just really liked dragons at the time. I still kind of do. And then eventually power creep happened and I stopped playing less. Now, I'm not going to lie and tell you I was mature and quit because I grew out of it. No, I quit because I stopped winning as much. Like I said, back in high school, I was a dumb kid. Anyways, I remember years later, after I grew up a bit, I remembered going to a convention and I remember hearing that there was a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. And I figured, you know what? I'll break out the deck. I probably won't win, but I can probably get through 1 or 2 rounds before dying or anything like that. I did not even get past the first person who completely destroyed me with his hero deck, and apparently he was kind of average from what everyone tells me. My deck was so bad. My goodness, power creep was such a huge problem, and still is in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways, enough of ranting about Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's go back to Jessica Miller. I began with their stance, or how they would stand and all that stuff. It started with their legs spread as wide as their shoulders, standing very strong and tall in a triangular sort of shape, if that makes any sense. A generic shonen anime type pose. Now, I'm not too ashamed to say that I did not know what a blouse was. I had to look it up on Google Images and it just made me question things even more. I looked it up on Google proper and figured out it's just a flappy, floopy, loose shirt. That's basically all it is. Why don't you just call it a loose shirt? Anyways, after adding the shirt, I moved on to the hair, and my goodness, I went in through quite a few variations and versions of the hair. They all look so wrong to me. I'm still not completely satisfied with what I have, but it was the best looking one out of the lot, which really shows how bad they all were. Overall, I'm pretty happy with what I've got. I think I could have done better, but all things considered, my ignorance in the subject and I think I did okay-ish. Especially since it only took about a bit over 28 minutes, I believe. Yeah, 28 minutes. Anyways, I hope you all enjoy my drawing and talking video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.